Hey guys, I'm Geoff Fienberg here with my Week 4 NFL DFS favorites for OddsChecker, oddschecker.com, OddsChecker YouTube. We'll get right into it. Week 4 NFL season is motoring along, our first COVID scare situation of the year, but it appears like we're just going to lose one game. And, you know, at least for my fantasy team, fantasy league, play the ball as she lies, so to say, was the commissioner rules as we decided before the season. I might be getting a little luck sacked, friends, as I was supposed to go up against Derrick Henry this week and Pittsburgh D. So I'm charmed in the first round of COVID getting in the way of the NHL, but hopefully, like Major League Baseball, we could just, you know, it'll happen and the teams are dealing with it responsibly, and the league can hopefully deal with it responsibly, and we'll continue to move along safely. That's what matters. But everyone will be really sad if we lose football. Oh, okay, let's not think about that. We got a Week 4 DFS slate on taps here. Starting it off at quarterback, Ryan Fitzpatrick. 5,400 in DraftKings, 7,100 in FanDuel. There's no doubt a lot of this is a pick on Seattle play, whose opposing quarterbacks have given up nearly 50 or over 50 passing attempts in a game. So just that volume alone is something to be excited about. The Seahawks are probably the superior team in this game. And if we're going to flirt with 50, 60 dropbacks from Ryan Fitzpatrick, well, we'll take that. Ryan Fitzpatrick, little known fact, 9 of the last 14 weeks has been a top 10 fantasy quarterback. So now a lovely matchup, extra rest, extra prep time. Hopefully we can work off that. Fitzpatrick has no fear. He will throw that ball all over the field. There might be a couple mistakes, but the volume and the good will probably outweigh, an interception that could, or turnover. That does seem likely here. Even if the points happen in garbage time, those are still real points, and they count just the same, and we'll absolutely take them. And let's not forget, Fitzpatrick averaging 5 rushing attempts this year. Sneaky little aspect of his game there through the first 3 weeks, 5 rushing attempts. So all the good and all the obvious points that make Fitzpatrick what will probably be a go-to and potentially popular play this week, but one that lets you do some other things with your roster, and you're going to get probably as many dropbacks as any quarterback on the board, with a quarterback that has shown an ability to have a lot of ceiling weeks in the last, where, as I mentioned, 9 top 10, 9 of the last 14 weeks, he's had 9 top 10 scoring weeks. So definitely worth the roll this week, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Dashawn Watson, 6,600 on DraftKings, 7,800 on FanDuel. It seems no concerns. This game is happening. We have lost the Titans game, but Titans-Steeler game, but Vikings-Houston will happen as scheduled. He's in a great spot this week, maybe one of the better spots of any QB on the board. The Vikings defense, absolutely atrocious. Watson provides the dual threat, obviously, because we can get lots of running from him. The Vikings, in a lot of ways, seem like they're in a real hurt. And they're so dependable in those front 7 spots and back end for so many years under Mike Zimmer. But it's happened to them in the worst way. And while I can look at the struggles Houston has had this year and blame the schedule potentially and feel like there could be a bright light, at least within the division, if they could get hot and win the right games, I don't feel like that about Minnesota. So this is a kitchen sink game for Bill O'Brien and the Texans, and especially Deshaun Watson. It's the ultimate get-right spot for them, which will be an uphill climb all season, but an opportunity to salvage one, and it'll be on the arms and legs of Deshaun Watson. Heavy Deshaun Watson for me this week, all platforms. Running back, James Robinson, 6,500 in DraftKings, 6,600 in FanDuel. Robinson getting an amazing 31% of his team's opportunity share, which is carries plus targets so far this year. That is a huge number. The types of guys getting this type of number are the guys that would have went at the very top of your fantasy draft, the guys that we have to pay the absolute top price for, even matched up against the Bengals this week, who are giving up the 5th most fantasy points to running backs this year. There are few running backs who provide this volume in the league, and there are no running backs who provide this sort of opportunity share and this price. So we're all in on James Robinson this week. Feel free to like, sub, comment, tell me your favorite DFS plays this week, guys. If you like mine, if you don't like mine, tell me before Sunday, so maybe we can talk about it, or at least it's there, so you don't have to make fun of me after the fact. But tell me which DFS plays of mine you love, you hate this week in the comments after you like, after you sub, so this and all my golf content can drop right into your YouTube feed every single week here, doing these videos for Odds Checker. We got another running back to drop, Daryl Henderson, 5,800 on DK, 64 on FanDuel. Certainly could be a chalky proposition this week, and the price is tough to get away from. The Rams offense looks amazing, even giving a half away last week against a very tough Bills defense. They were able to do a ton in a very short period of time. It gets you excited what a guy like Henderson can do, when the game script works in McVay and the Rams' favors. Cam Akers and Malcolm Brown being banged up have led to Henderson getting much more of the opportunity, and it resulted in over 100 yards and a touchdown last week. I believe that can continue this week for the Rams and Daryl Henderson. And oh man, I wish I had more shares of him in my leagues. I don't have any, but that's looking like a gem of a pick and an investment. But we'll be investing this week, both on DraftKings and FanDuel. Wide receiver Stefon Diggs, 6,800 on DraftKings, 7,000 in FanDuel, guys. The Bills are throwing early. They're throwing often. They're throwing all game. Josh Allen in year 3 is putting it all on display. They've given him a there's like super elite receivers, and maybe Diggs would come in that next class, but they've given him a 1 receiver finally, and they have some great receivers complementing the attention and the teamwork that's really gone on in Buffalo. Is exciting to see, guys, this year. He produced last week against Jalen Ramsey and the Rams. Josh Allen still went to him. I would expect him to get tons of action against Oakland this week, guys. Josh Allen will get the ball to Stefon Diggs. The Raiders are in a bad spot in their secondary, and I expect the Bills to do what the Bills have been doing. The total in this game is 52. That's an indication of the type of game people are expecting it to be. In a quiet road stadium, I'm seeing all these really good QBs continue to do what they do. There's really not much that will hold them back. So Josh Allen, Stefon Diggs, I'm not paying up for Allen. I'm going to do so as it pertains to Stefon Diggs. It is the Raiders and their injuries that are an issue, and everything that the Bills are doing, I believe, will continue to happen. And part of me truly believes, guys, that the Bills aren't even getting enough respect for how good they are. You know, every year we do see this, and you look at all the really good teams, year in, year out. Like even San Francisco last year, I want to say like week 2, they were a pick'em against Cincinnati for just a perspective thing. And then, 3 weeks later, they're a superpower, a couple weeks later, a handful of weeks later, and then many months later, they're a top seed, and then they're in the Super Bowl. I think if this Bills-Raiders game is played in like 2.5 weeks, people's opinions of the already favorable for Buffalo would be that much more. If you could tell, I guess, I think the Bills are really good and being even underappreciated in some ways for how good they are. T. Higgins. This is going to be a savings drop this week for us. Higgins has become Joe Burrow's favorite target. Slowly, quickly, I don't know. It's week 4, and that's exactly what seems to have happened. He's getting 7.5 targets a game, 25 0.5% of Burrow's combined target share and air yards. The last time we saw Jacksonville versus the Dolphins, they were throwing all over them. So this is a good matchup for the pass-heavy Bengals against the Jaguars, and we'll likely see a lot of points this week. T. Higgins, rookie quarterbacks, they'll pick their favorite guy, and those seem to be the guys historically that are bound to have great seasons, and T. Higgins looks like he is that guy. 4,500 in DraftKings, 5,300 in FanDuel. Tight end. Wow, tight end. Geez, it's been real tough to nail all year. I don't know if I've gotten it really right one time. And this even goes to like your fantasy drafts. And I read and watched a great, I should say, I don't even remember. I wish I could give credit. A great podcast on talking about how, like statistically proven how bad the second tier fantasy tight ends have performed year in, year out recently. Data proven that you either have these like top 1, 2, 3 top guys, or you try to get and you hit a home run like a Daryl Waller or other situations. I'm a guy that drafted Hunter Henry as like the 5th tight end off the board in my league, so I didn't even take the great advice that I digested in the offseason, but it seems to be playing out again. The elite are performing or injured in Kittle's case, and it seems like the middle tier is doing nothing. From a Hunter Henry, an Evan Ingram, you know what I'm talking about. Those guys that would have been the 4th, 5th, 6th tight ends off the board, not doing it. So tight end been tough all year. I guess you want to know who I'm going to roll with again. Let's see if we can hit one. Logan Thomas, 3,500 in DK, 4,900 in DraftKings. There are no real great paydown options as it pertains to tight end this year or this week. And again, as I mentioned, it's kind of been frustrating. I know not just for me, even though I ranted about me, it's been frustrating in general this year. But Logan Thomas gets the targets, getting 7 more last week. This is a great matchup against the Ravens, who will beat down Washington, in my opinion. The Ravens, horrible on Monday night. I thought, wow, yeah. Let's not talk about what I thought. But Baltimore, you think about it, you look back, they stomp the bad teams, and they seem to real struggle against the elite ones. At least that's the perception. And it's becoming reality. Fix it, Baltimore. But Logan Thomas, I think there'll be opportunities for him throughout the game. And when Baltimore's up big, there'll be more of them. Clearly a favorite of Haskins there. So I like this. 3,500 in DK, 4,900 on FanDuel. That would be my paydown potential option at tight end. I'm going to pay up a little for Mike Gesicki. We talked about Fitzpatrick a lot at the top. We talked about the obvious reasons. But Gesicki seems to be a tight end that is getting it done this year. I sort of mentioned, maybe that sneakier, deeper tier tight end, 3rd tier tight end, 4th tier tight end that is outperforming the 2nd tier tight ends, at least early in the season, and no one would be surprised if that did continue this year. He works the slot a lot. That is, he works the slot a lot. That is also where I was trying to remember who Miami was playing, and I love Fitzpatrick. Works the slot against a lot, and the Seahawks struggle covering the slot. That's where they seem to have been giving up a lot of yards. So it's a situational play. It's a game flow play. Clearly becoming a guy Fitzpatrick can depend on. We're going to get all those Fitzpatrick targets, dropbacks. Gesicki should get his I think in bunches this week, and is a bit of a pay up that I am going to be invested in. Defense, the Bears. The Bears play the Colts. This could be a close game. Philip Rivers could easily make a mistake. There's still some elite talent on the Bears defense. Paying down on defense this week. Didn't really find a ton of options that I love. I expect this game to be close, tight, and I guess history says that's where Philip will make that mistake or that risky play, which could lead to something for the Bears. The Bears are probably, I don't know, I think they're the best of the worst options as it pertains to a buy down on defense this week. The Rams at the Giants, 3,900 on DraftKings, 4,800 on FanDuel. That's where I will be going this week. They'll still make it up. They're playing the Giants this week. These ain't the Bills. Daniel Jones ain't Josh Allen. The spurts that the Rams will dominate will be fantastic, and they will be backbreaking for the Giants, and I expect a lot of fantasy points out of it. I watched a lot of that Bills-Rams game last week. I left just really impressed by the Rams' ability to do what they did both offensively and defensively in such a short period of time to really sway that game. Almost came out with the W. I was invested in the Bills last week, so happy I got lucky with that PI call. Someone's got to get lucky, but yeah. So in that game, it was me. I don't get lucky that often, though. But the Rams thoroughly impressed me. Aaron Donald is going to eat. The stars on the Rams should eat. The Giants, it's really frustrating, to see them and their fans, because there should have been a level of excitement. They kind of thought they were doing a lot of the right things, despite some roster construction issues that we could all debate, but I don't really care to have that one. But Daniel Jones is regressing, and with that, everyone else seems to be coupled that with the injuries, and it's not been fun. And the Rams, they're not the team to play when those are the issues. Like, sub, comment, tell me which DFS plays of mine you like, which ones you're going to fade, which ones you suggest, and leave them here in the comments. I'm Geoff Fienberg. I'll be back next week on the Odds Checker video feed, so check them out. Thanks for watching, friends. May the winners be ours, as my boy Morency would say.